Right, let's move straight into our next one. And this one is the whole creating a new password, and they ask you to basically meet about 100 different requirements to create that new password. Now, the worst part of it is even if you try and follow along with the uppercase, the lowercase, the number, special characters, it doesn't tell you which one you've actually ticked and which one you haven't done. So at this point in time, you're like, well, I thought I met all the criteria. You're telling me no. Well, which one is it? What do I need to add? A special character, a number, or maybe something else? Should not contain any personal information. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But there's nothing here to indicate which one you breached.
Yeah, I think a lot more. I mean, I'm seeing less and less of this kind of pattern, and I'm seeing a lot more where, like, you've got certain criteria: must have a minimum of X characters, must contain uppercase, must contain lowercase, must contain special characters in brackets, what those characters are,
Yep.
and must contain numbers. And then, like, you can see them as you
do
it. As you do each one, then you get a tick next to it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, that solves this problem that we've got here. What it doesn't solve then is you've now got this really long password that
you can't
remember. And then maybe you can remember it, but you use that same password everywhere else. Then it becomes very insecure. Even I use like online password saving tools, but even them, are they that secure? Yeah. Who knows? If someone breached into my master password, they'd probably get into everything. So yeah, I mean, what they do tell you in security places is to come up with your own sort of password generation key, whether it's a letter, then a number, or whatever, something that you can remember, but only you can remember it, so that you can run through that every single time. You're still going to get caught into that whole, what password did I use for this website? I mean, it's one. Yeah, it's a challenge.
One thing you can do. I can't remember where I picked this up, but somebody mentioned, instead of thinking of writing a password, write a phrase, but it means something to you. Because often they say it has to be a minimum of 12 characters or 16 characters, and it must have like numbers in it, and you must have uppercase and lowercase. So you can write a phrase, and a lot of people will think, well, when to enter a password, it's like, oh, I've got to type in a password.
Yeah.
If you entered a phrase, it's not as guessable, and so it adds security. And then you can just like add, maybe it's like my second dog's birthday was, and you can enter the numbers of the date, and you know.
Yeah, I guess that still then gets into that realm of what phrase did I use for this website. If you signed up to say 50 different websites, what phrases did you use for which one? And I think that's the issue. I think there's UX techniques that you can use that make it easier for the user, but we're still at a point in time where passwords are just a bit dated. There isn't really much.
We need to get rid of them.
Yeah, there's not much we can do from a UX side. There's only certain security stuff we can do until we get to that point where there's new technology that comes in. I mean, it's a challenge.
I think a lot of places now you can use your phone, and there's like two-step authentication. I can't even speak, but the whole concept of password is a bad UX anyway. There's no good UX because you're forced to often remember something you're not going to remember. So it's like, well, it defeats the object of having a password then, because if I can't remember it, I'm going to have to write it down, which is a security risk. So might as well not have a password.
Yeah, and even the two-step is really annoying for users because quite often you're on the computer or you're on the phone, and then it's like, go get your app or go get your phone. We've sent you a text message, and it's like, well, my phone's downstairs, or my phone's not here with me right now, or my phone has maybe run out of battery. Then you're in this whole, what do I do? Even when it says, okay, we'll send it to your email address. Okay, well, now I've got to go log into my email account. I've got to go and find the email. It's quite often the tasks where the two steps are in. Say, for instance, a good one for me is PayPal, where you just want to quickly go in, check something, and be out. you don't want this whole faffing around with passwords and codes and clicking links. You just want to get in there and out as quick as you can. The only issue with that, the less security you have, the more you're open to attacks, and especially with PayPal, there's quite a lot of security attacks that happen with that side of things. So yeah, I mean, there's stuff that you can do that improves the UX, but having what we've got here on the screen with no idea of what has passed the validation checks and what hasn't, isn't very good for your users. So always put that little check mark next to what they have completed and what they haven't, so they can go in. I think probably then the other thing is, like, you can't even see your password here.
I was just about to say, It's like if you're trying to write something and you think, oh, did I do that uppercase? If I'm writing, like, I've got 4 uppercases in this password, and it's like, wait a minute, did I do that one uppercase or the one next to it? I can't remember. Because you get into you're already, like, by the second time, when you re-enter the password, you've forgotten it because you're forced to write something which you're not going to remember.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
And I guess another one that you can do, and I'd always recommend doing it, is where you have to re-enter the new password and then re-enter it again, is disable copying and pasting, because your users will just copy and paste, which, if they're doing that, there's no point in having that second enter your new password in. You then find a little bit later on down the line, you're getting more customer service requests because people have forgotten their password or they've entered it incorrectly, and it just becomes a whole nightmare. So if you do have to, if you are making your users re-enter that password again, just disable copying and pasting within that form, so they have to actually do it.
It's the same with the email. You see sometimes you can have 2 emails and you confirm email. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah. I mean,
you can copy and paste. I mean, I think only once have I found a place where, like, you can't copy and paste your email, but all the other ones you can. So it's like, well, then there's no point confirming it.
And I've done that before, and I've spelt in the first box my email address incorrect, copied and pasted it, and not realised. Signed up for an account, gone down the route of creating the account, the profile, and everything else, then find my emails is incorrect. So when I've come in to log into it next time, it's like, your email is incorrect. I'm like, no. So go to reset the password. We cannot find your email address. It's like, what did I use? Then you have to go and contact customer support, and then they're like, yeah, you spelled your email address wrong. And it's like, that was because I was trying to save time. I clicked copy and paste. I spelled it wrong. So just by, even by doing that, you're saving your as much as users could get a little bit frustrated that you've disabled that option, you're actually saving them time and energy down the line if they have that scenario that I've just explained.
You can have, like, a validation, and you can have either potentially have a phone validation. You enter your email or your phone number, and you can choose, or maybe have both if you wanted both, depending on the scenario. And then, like, you click on send validation, so you only need to write it once, and then you get a validation. If you don't get something coming, it should say, like, we have now sent you a validation. You should get that within the next minute. If you haven't, resend it or change or check your email or phone number. Make sure you've typed it incorrectly. So it's forcing the user. You can't go forward without validating what you've entered.
And that does work in majority of scenarios. There, especially, like, I guess one that I've experienced being more rural and not having any mobile signal is they'll send you that verification code via your text message. I don't have any signal in my house, so I'm sat at the computer going, right, now what do I do? And some of them,
I'm gonna have to drive down the road.
Yeah, I have to, like, run down the street, like, with my hand in the air, going, "Where's my code?" To then find the code's expired, and then I've got to try and do that all over again. Some software, some services allow you to send it via an email. I always try and opt in for that one if I can. But text messaging can be a bit iffy if they've got bad signal, or maybe your customers might not even be allowed their phone on them when they're trying to do that
in
action.
their location. Yeah.
So I guess this is kind of where the user research piece comes in, to understand your users, your target audience, their limitations, what they can and can't do. Especially when you start going into, say, more restricted areas, like high security places, if you start working with Ministry of Defence, there's quite a lot of those restrictions always in place. So understanding your users and understanding their limitations when they're using the software is always crucial for that.